Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Sports in the Mitten, powered by Mr. Spots in Ann Arbor. I'm your host, Adam Biggers, and I'm solo tonight. Thomas Bendit has the evening off, and it's usually I'll try to do some more solo stuff because I feel like when big stories or stuff that we're talking about happens, it's one thing to be on Twitter, and if a lot of you guys do follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81, you'll kind of recognize probably some of these opinions because I've been tweeting about it all day. If you don't, this will be all kind of new to you, hopefully. And basically, just with the Jabrill Peppers talk, the Hondo Carpenter report that was smashed into itty bitty pieces by Mark Dantonio on Twitter, which for a guy like that, and I'll save that. For a guy like Dantonio to do that, especially during a time like this, I feel like that kind of carries a little bit of weight, saying that it is, complete BS rather than just letting it slide. Maybe there's a little bit something to it. He just comes out and says, no, it's basically pure BS. And let's start with that here. I'll get my computer because I want to be able to quote it directly. So anyway, the gist of it is that earlier in the day, Hondo Carpenter, Spartan Nation News, reported that Robert Bowers and Viante Copeland had been kicked off the team. And as you know, if you've been following Michigan State football, this program, I mean, it is... I don't like throwing the word lack of institutional control around, but when we look at what's going on with Michigan State football right now, up to, more than a dozen players, either 15 were out of the spring game. Thomas and I have talked about this. Several more suspended for other reasons. There's this red lock term that Dantonio's using, guys on the fence, basically. And this is what he tweeted. The most recent report that V. Copeland and R. Bowers have been thrown off the team are inaccurate and has no validity. Hashtag red lock. So Dantonio had used that term earlier, and basically it's like they're in limbo, right? So to say that they're thrown off the team is not accurate, and Dantonio made sure that he came out and said that. I got a couple of replies, most notably from Sean Michael, who I hope is, excuse me, had a little trouble with my voice today, who I hope is watching this video because Sean always has something smart and funny to say. So he said, well, yeah, now he can talk about players and their status on the team, because prior to the spring game, during his press conference, Dantonio wouldn't talk about players' status. He certainly wasn't going to reference the three in question for the sexual assault. And then we've seen with Austin Robertson being kicked off the team, and the police, Meridian Township, he's a person of interest. They're looking for him. There's a warrant. I mean, there are all kinds of problems in it, and it's snowballing. And like I said, I don't want to throw around the term lack of institutional control, but it really doesn't. It doesn't look good. When you have a roster, 80 plus guys, college guys, there's going to be problems, right? There's going to be the occasional bad apple. Every program's got the guy who parties and gets kicked off. Everybody's got the guy who, gets in a fight with teammates or whatever, or does something stupid. That happens. The odds are there. This type of stuff is going to happen when you have 80 guys on a roster. So, but for the sexual assaults, I mean, there's 4 of them that we know about, right? 3 players connected to one, and Austin Robertson. I mean, that's just not a good look. And then you have the John Reschke. He was kicked off the team for just being a complete, asshole, for lack of a better term, insensitive, saying a lot of stuff to teammates. I mean, and the situation with Austin Robertson, hasn't been talked about, but when I feel more comfortable, when I have all the details, I will say that it is over a girl or a woman, and it is, it's unfortunate. So it's, there's a lot of stuff. It is not, it has been reported that it was a sexual assault, but the details of it, and like I said, when I'm more comfortable with it, I'll talk about it. But I have gathered some information, and it's unfortunate, and I cannot blame there's some other players who are not very happy with him, and I cannot blame them for their reaction whatsoever. So let's move on to a new topic. It's Jabrill Peppers. I think if anybody's read my stuff on FanRag Sports, they know that I think very highly of Jabrill, covering Michigan, during the past 5 years, and especially, with Jabrill being there the past 3 and playing the past 2. I feel like that I feel like that I can get a good read on players a lot of times. And excuse me, Jabrill Peppers to me is one of the most versatile, most athletic guys that I've ever seen. And I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I've seen the best athletes ever. I've seen some very good athletes up close and personal at all different types of levels. And just personality-wise and what Jabrill can do, he is truly rare. And I don't think there's any arguing that. So it gets to the point, it was funny, I saw a video the other day, I believe it was on CBS, and it was just kind of like a hype video. Where's he going to go? What team's going to get him? What can he do for the team? And then today, the first report came out earlier in the day, and it was Adam Schefter of ESPN. And Adam had reported that, excuse me, that Jabrill had a diluted sample. And basically that means that there wasn't anything in his urine sample, you know, for what they were testing for, right? They were looking for, I don't know if it was a drug test. I don't know what they were testing for. It's that information hasn't been made public. I don't know about what it was, but I'm assuming it was probably just a standard drug test, and it came back diluted. Well, a lot of times these guys, I'm drinking water right now. I drink a lot of water, right? And if you drink water regularly on a regular basis, and then you take a urine test, I can't help but think that it's probably going to show up that there's a lot of water in it. It's diluted. Now, whether you're doing that on purpose or not, I don't know. But here's the facts. The facts are that Jabrill had a dilute sample. Not tested. He didn't test positive, but a diluted sample in a lot of cases, but NFL, you know, whatever other issues you have to have a urine sample for, a diluted sample is bad. Okay, it's not good. They're not going to say, oh, okay, well, it's a little watery this time, we'll give you a pass. It's, hey, why is this? And so that's, the bottom line is another diluted sample, it's going to raise some serious flags. So that's out there. Later on NBC Pro Football Talk, profootballtalk.nbcsports.com, and I tweeted the link. I'll include the link in the show description or online. Wherever I post it, you guys will see it. And it says that, I'm going to read it. It's by Michael David Smith. Michigan safety Jabrill Peppers, and Michigan safety is linebacker, but I guess it's safe. Maybe they're saying safety now that he's going in the draft. He's viewed as safety. So anyway, Michigan safety Jabrill Peppers was one of a handful of draft prospects who didn't play in his team's bowl game, and now that may be costing him in the eyes of NFL teams. Adam Schefter reported today on ESPN that there are teams with concerns that Peppers didn't play in his bowl game. Those teams didn't apparently worry that by sitting out Michigan's Orange Bowl contest against Florida State, he showed a lack of commitment to his team. And then he goes on to talk about Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey. I don't know. Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey's motivation, I think, was different. Jabrill Peppers, and I can say this with 100% certainty and 100% conviction because I was right there. I was 15, 20 feet away from Jabrill Peppers in the end zone at the Orange Bowl while he was stretching. I looked at him. He was trying to do, like, you know, just leg lifts, that sort of thing, just regular mobility, kind of stretching, and he struggled through all of it. And unless he's a fantastic actor, but he's doing it in a way that I've seen guys get injured. I've had an injury, you know, if you've ever had a leg injury or if you've seen it, you know where you can't fake that kind of gimp and that hesitation. And like I said, unless he's a fantastic actor, and I just completely didn't know what to look for, which was not the case. I saw with my two eyes, my own two eyes, Jabrill was right in front of me. He tried to warm up, he couldn't. Now, the concern is, why wasn't he on the sidelines? And I get that. But if you're hearing, you know, I've read, you know, some stuff, just some chatter. If you're hearing that Jabrill quit on his team or faked an injury, it is complete and utter nonsense. Didn't happen. Unless you were right there and saw him try to warm up and he could not warm up, then you don't know. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but it is something that I know about because I was there. He wasn't faking. I talked to Jabrill in the locker room right after the game. I spent 10 minutes, good 10 minutes, sitting next to him. 7 minutes, we'll call it 7 minutes. Maybe I was exaggerating a little bit. 7 minutes talking to him, and he had a solemn look on his face. He was clearly disappointed that he didn't play in the bowl game. He felt bad. I mean, and a guy who loves football, loves to compete, and he can't play in a huge game against Florida State, nothing to me said that Jabrill Peppers quit on his team. If Jabrill wasn't available in the locker room, or if he gave off, and I'm big on body language, I'm big on eye contact, I'm big, just on the little hints like that. I feel like that I'm intuitive enough to pick up on some of that stuff. And I was right there, side by side, with Jabrill. And again, unless he is just an excellent stone cold liar, which I don't think is the case, I believe that he was hurt. He tried to play. He could not play. Going to the diluted sample, he has had cramping issues. A friend of mine on Facebook post today, Justin Diggin, made a good point too. When you play 90 snaps per game, Jabrill Peppers plays a lot more than the average guy, right? You're going to be burning a lot of energy. You're going to need to refuel, okay? I just talked for a few minutes and I needed a drink of water. I mean, Jabrill Peppers is, running around a football field, tackling guys, returning punts. He's going to drink a lot of water. I don't see the major concern with it. Now, if it's another diluted test, then I'll see a concern with it. But the stuff about him, he quit on his team. He faked an injury. I don't even know why we're talking about this again. And it's funny because, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, there was this video hyping up Jabrill and where's he going to go, and people, talking about him as being a first-round pick. He is a first-round pick. He's one of the most talented, most athletic guys in the draft. He does have a position. He lines up weight and height-wise. He's right there with NFL safeties. I mean, we've gone over this so many times, so it's beating a dead horse essentially. But like I said, with the draft on the 27th, just a few days away, now all this stuff's popping up, and I don't know. Are people wanting this information to get out there? Maybe he'll cause them to slide. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'll let some of the message board and Twitter conspiracy theorists out there have some fun with that. If you have a good idea, what is all this stuff about Jabrill Peppers about? Is it a smear campaign on purpose? Let me know. I would at least like to entertain the thought. I'm always up for some out of the box thinking. I don't know if it's that far, but who knows? Stranger things have happened, and when we're dealing, with draft status and players and where they go, I mean, there's all these reports. They can benefit, Hey, we want to leak this. We want this guy. It's all mind games, right? Jabrill Peppers is a first-round pick. He's one of the most talented players in the draft. There's no debating that. So, and furthermore, back to this Michael David Smith report from Pro Football Talk on Jabrill, he adds, however, it's a little odd that this report is coming from Schefter today, because on the day of the bowl game, Schefter reported that Peppers had legitimately suffered a hamstring injury and wanted to play but physically couldn't. So again, reporting from the day of, he wanted to go, he couldn't, and now it's different. It doesn't change. That's what it was that day. That's what it is now. It doesn't change. It doesn't. His injury status on the day of the Orange Bowl, December 30th, he had a hamstring injury. That does not change. He wanted to play, and I don't know why this stuff gets tossed around. And well, did he quit on his team? Did he not quit on? He didn't quit on his team. I think that's basically all I have to say today. Actually, one more topic. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, big Michigan quarterback target for 2018. He committed to UCLA last night. He tweeted that. I think that it was pretty well known within about the past week that he was leaning toward UCLA. But, I mean, a couple weeks ago, it seemed like it was 50-50. Michigan does not have a quarterback for its 2018 class at the moment, but there are a couple guys who are targets, high interest. Joe Milton being one of them. I've watched as much of Joe's stuff as I could. I mean, you gotta understand, he's going to. I like watching their senior highlights. I mean, he's a junior right now. He'll be a senior this fall, so I'll be interested to see his senior highlights. But I watched some of like the 7-on-7 workout stuff. Some of these guys like Dorian, he didn't even start. at Bishop Gorman. So, I mean, there's not a ton of game tape on some of these guys because they are young. But at the same time, like I said, I do like Joe Milton. I wrote about this on FanRag Sports right now. I'm actually looking down on it. Check that out on fanragsports.com. Follow them on Twitter at fanrag_u. Tyler Shue is another one. He's a 3-star pro styler out of Hamilton and Chandler, Arizona. But there's another guy that I like that we haven't really talked about in a long time. He was at the A4 camp. Strong connections to the program. I met to some of the guys in the program. I mentioned this in the article, and it's Alan Walters. He was at Paramus Catholic in New Jersey. And, of course, if you follow Michigan football, you know all about Paramus. Jabrill Peppers was there. Chris Partridge used to be the coach. Rashawn Gary and Alan are very close friends. So, I don't know how much that has to play into it. I don't know if Rashawn has any influence. Hey, coach, I know there's a quarterback. I don't know. But I do know that Alan Walters is one of the highest ranked pro style quarterbacks. I think he was at one time a 3-star prospect. I think Scout had him at 3 stars. 24/7 has him as a 4-star. He is the number 12 ranked. So, I mean, he's obviously one of the best pro style quarterbacks of his class. He's committed to Vanderbilt right now. And what I like about him, arm, he's a smart kid. I've interviewed him a couple times. Athletic as well. At the A4 camp, with the baseball stuff, Harbaugh was having him, jump houses and things like that. Allen was definitely a kid who stood out. So he is committed to Vanderbilt. I don't know if that there is a chance, but he was offered by Michigan. There was interest. He is familiar, like I said, with there's the Jersey connection as a whole with Michigan. And then again, he is very good friends with Rashawn Gary. He knows Chris Partridge. Possibility? Maybe. I don't know. And this isn't anything that I've heard. This is something that, I'm suggesting. So, I'm not trying to throw a name out there and stick it against the wall, but, there is some background with this guy. So, if there was like a third option, if something happens with Milton and Shue to where because those seem to be the 2 top targets right now. If something happens with those guys, I think that at least Alan Walters is an option because of the familiarity and all the stuff that I just said. So I want to leave everyone by saying thanks for watching. Thomas and I will be doing some episodes as well, so that way you don't just have to sit here and listen to me talk for 15-20 minutes. But I do appreciate it. Feel free to leave your comments, questions, anything like that in the comments section below. You can download the audio-only version of the Sports in the Mitten podcast on sportsinthemitten.com. You can follow us on Twitter at MittenSportsMI. And I want to thank Keith and Tim at Mr. Spots in Ann Arbor for sponsoring the show and hooking me up with all kinds of food while I'm down there. I'll have some Michigan NFL draft, Michigan State NFL draft content coming up on FanRagSports.com. Again, at FanRag_u. I'm Adam Biggers. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. You can follow Thomas Bendit at TBendit, and that's BEINDIT. Had to make sure I spelled that right. And he also runs SB Nation's Big Ten Powerhouse. Great stuff over there for the basketball heads. BTPowerhouse.com, and that's on the SB Nation. I'm Adam Biggers. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.